Burn the cedar's hard and it burns with a crackling hot kind of flame. When the fire burns down, it ain't out. It can always flare again.
Well, it's Thursday night. It's 7:30. We're in Collinsville, Virginia on BT21, and I'm Boyce, a veterinarian from Patrick Springs, Virginia. The name of the show is Off the Track because that's usually where we wind up. We're a call-in show, and we did fix the phone again, so if you want to call us, the number is 647-9289. Call us about whatever's on your mind. We'll talk about it. But I've got a feeling that some of you may want to talk to us about our subject matter tonight. We're really lucky to have Mr. Robert Cowdry, who is the first lieutenant with the ARAT Rescue Squad.
That's correct.
I got that right. And that's a volunteer rescue squad in the southwestern portion of Patrick County.
Correct.
And it's about as rural as a rural rescue squad can get.
Yeah, we do have our challenges there, but yes, we're very rural. But we have a great group of people there. Great group of people. They're very dedicated, and they're hardworking. Right now they're training, and I'm missing out on it.
Oh, sorry.
Well,
I appreciate you coming to the show tonight because we have a lot of things to talk about involving volunteer rescue squad. Where are you from, Robert?
I'm originally from a small town in Massachusetts, a town called Athol, Massachusetts. Very much like Patrick County. When I was growing up, we had one traffic light in the whole town. It doesn't sound that way in New England, but that's the way it is in Western Mass.
I tell you, it's if you actually go to New England or you go to even New Jersey, growing up in the South, we thought of New Jersey as a big, megapolis. It's not. It's rural. It's beautiful. Yeah, there's a lot of beautiful areas in driving through New Jersey. And Cape May, of course, is the beach,
Yes.
And I have spent a lot of time in Massachusetts, New Hampshire, Vermont, just years ago, and I really like the place.
It's nice country. It's not nearly as nice as down here, though. It's just too cold.
It's too cold.
I don't know why anybody wants to stay there.
I don't either. It's just
I'd much rather
too
be
cold.
here.
And there's too much snow.
Yeah.
You have to love it.
Well, I
Got to
don't.
be one of the.
I don't.
So, how long have you been running rescue?
I've been with rescue this time about 6 years. I started at CCDF, took the firefighters course, then took the firefighter 2, EMT, enhanced, and the opportunity came to help down at Station 2 in Ararat, and I went down, and my wife and I went down, and we joined down there, and it's been a very rewarding experience for us.
So you've been 6 years this time. Where were you before?
I was in Massachusetts back in the late 70s. Back then, it was very new, and it was through the Explorer Group, which is Advanced Boy Scouts. I started there, and that was back in 1976.
That's the year my wife was born.
Well, I started up there, and we had a couple of really bad calls, and I was too immature at the time to follow it through. But my wife was a member down at CCDF, and she said one day, "We need some help. You got to come help." And so I did, and like everything else, I jumped into it with both feet.
Great. And your wife is an EMT as well.
Oh yes, she is.
Is she enhanced?
Yes, she is. We're part of the last group, the last 19 that passed in the Commonwealth of Virginia.
Well, congratulations. And before we go much farther, we need to talk about the difference between basic life support, BLS, and advanced life support. Most of you out there, if you're not familiar with rescue squads and how they're set up, basic life support is sort of what you may think and what you see when granddaddy has a little difficulty breathing, little chest pains, has a bad case of the flu, doesn't feel good, sore foot. Some guys come out and they carefully put you onto a stretcher, and they may give you some oxygen through a mask, and They take your blood pressure, take your vital signs, do a bunch of paperwork, and they take you safely to the hospital.
Correct.
And advanced life support, basically we're talking about the addition of the ability to administer drugs under the direction or protocols of a emergency department.
Correct.
Usually the one you run with. And this would include intravenous catheters,
Yes.
intravenous lactated ringers, and
Not lactate ringers. All we do is
D50
saline.
Saline now.
That's all we're doing.
We used to
Yeah.
use lactated ringers when I was running,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
we did lactated ringers, and I think we had D5W we could give on order.
Right.
We had, you know, 2 different kinds
Yeah.
of fluids in our drug box,
We
plus
just
sterile saline.
We just do saline.
Well, that's safe.
Yeah, well, that's
For
why we do
diabetics.
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
We do, well, the diabetics, we can give them D50,
Yeah.
which will bring them around quickly.
'em around.
I've seen some amazing things.
I have too.
It's awe. It puts me in awe of what can be done at the enhanced level that will literally save lives.
It can.
It very well can.
It can. And I pushed very hard for ALS at Jeb Stewart. We didn't have it
Right.
when I started running in 1987, and we had no ALS whatsoever, and no ALS coming into Stewart Hospital.
Right.
And the only place that they would sign off on ALS was Martinsville. So Smith River was running ALS at that time. It's almost close, as close, if not closer, for them to come on up
Martinsville,
57
yeah.
and run right on into Martinsville as it is for them to go to Stewart. So it wasn't a problem with them. When I got my shock trauma certification, which is no longer
Right.
there, but it's sort of an enhanced.
Yeah.
I used to have to make the decision, is this patient bad enough that he needs an IV catheter, in which case I'm going to have to go to Martinsville with him, or can I just take a chance and hope that he doesn't need the ALS care now and run to Stewart? So it was kind of a Faustian decision there for a while.
Well, things have progressed quite a bit since then.
They have.
As a matter of fact, Patrick County is doing remarkably better than it had been. I prefer to transport patients to Patrick County because the care is much more personal there. You have a lot fewer beds, and you still have 4 or 5 technicians there with the doctor. So it's much better care. It's much better.
It's always been
personally.
like that.
Yeah.
Even in the bad old days. Of course, I was involved in we have no time to go into this, but I was involved in a lot of problems with the local hospital, which have now been resolved.
Yeah.
And I will tell you, I'm an unabashed supporter of Pioneer Hospital. Yeah. We are so lucky to bring them in here.
Oh, I'm definitely an advocate.
They are building us a brand new hospital around the hospital that we had.
Yeah.
If you're in Henry County and you need a hospital and you don't want to drive to Martinsville, or you're somewhere in that intermediate area there, come on to Patrick County Hospital. You'll love it. You might, well, nobody loves their experience going to a hospital, but usually, but it's doing really well, and they have had a series of really great people to work with, and we're working with them now on the problems we have. And I guess the problem that we have are 2 things that dog every rescue squad, every fire department. It doesn't matter whether you're paid service. It doesn't matter whether you're in a big city or rural area. It's these same 2 problems, and those are missed calls, where you got a problem, and the dispatch tones it out, and they call for help, and there's nobody can show up.
Right.
For whatever reason. There's many reasons, and the other one is it takes too long. So delayed response and missed calls, and these are horrible. None of us who ever ran rescue or that still do run rescue, as you do, like hearing about them.
Oh no,
And they do hurt your feelings. They hurt my feelings. I was captain of Jeb Stewart for 10 years, and it just used to I used to take it personally when we missed a call.
Yeah, that's very true. If you care what you're doing, and your squad misses a call, you can't do it because of your work or you're not in the area. Yeah, it hurts. It hurts a lot, and I don't know any captain in any squad that doesn't feel that way.
No, it does bother the volunteers.
Oh, it does.
But
it does.
let's look at some of the reasons. For one thing, wrong time of the day.
Well, it's the wrong time of the day. It's life is not easy anymore. It's not. You can't leave your job to go run calls anymore where you used to. There used to be a lot of industry in Patrick County that had volunteers that worked there that could leave those jobs.
Fire and rescue.
Those days are gone.
They're gone.
They're gone.
And I still to this day would allow my employees to run out the door to answer a rescue squad and call. And when back in the day, I used to take off to go to run a rescue squad call, and I'd take some of those guys with me.
Yeah.
And say, hey, come on, guys, we got a call, and people be sitting there holding their dog, and but everybody in Patrick County knew what the story was.
Yeah.
And that's gone now. And the other problem that people have to understand, and it does happen, there's a Murphy's Law about it.
Oh yeah.
That you'll go 3 days with not a single call. That old radio, you keep going to check and see if the little light's on.
Yeah.
You've
Did the
had
battery
those
go
days.
dead on me? Yeah.
Then you get 3 big ones at one time.
Yeah.
And you'll have, you've only got so many units, you've only got so many people. But if you've got, we used to have these horrible automobile accidents, head-on collision, radiator cap to radiator cap. Highway 58 was 2-lane in those days. If something happened, somebody was inattentive, as Freddie Lee used to say, get behind in his driving, we would have these horrific head-on collisions with multiple victims. You'd have to cut them out of the wreckage.
Yes.
And it would take everything the squad had. And if Aunt Matilda had a little chest pain, she might have to wait a while on that ambulance.
Yeah.
Or we'd have to call, and a lot of times, those bad wrecks like that, I'd be there with Jeb Stewart, and Floyd Nunn would be there with CCDF, and we'd have somebody from Ararat, and a lot of times I'd have Ray Wells there from Smith River. They would bring them in from all over the county.
And that still takes place.
It does,
when an MVA comes out, motor vehicle accident, it's pretty much all hands on deck then. We get, I've been blessed with 2 beautiful units and a crash truck. And if there's an accident at Lee Cargo, which is not in our district, but it's very close to it, we'll roll a unit just to support them. We may not do a single thing, but if we can support CCDF.
Put flares in the road, direct traffic.
Exactly,
helps,
exactly.
And we used to have to, that's something you have to do. And
oh yes, yeah, definitely. You have to keep the EMTs that are working on the road safe.
And you have to
if
keep
you don't,
everybody safe.
We've compounded the problem.
People have to understand, look, not to cast any aspersions, but we used to have trouble with police response. And it was understandable too.
Well, we're at the far end of the county.
We're at the far end of the county, and we would have, if an officer, if our state police officer, and we only had one at night, if he was working something down in Ararat, in your area, and I had one of these horrible wrecks, even a 1-vehicle wreck, off some winding country road somewhere up in North County, it might be, we'd have the victim out and gone before the state police showed up.
Yeah, that's happened more than once with us.
Yeah.
We had some bad ones on home place, and we had them flown out before the police ever even got there.
And the same thing with violent scenes. We'd show up at a shooting, and you'd still have a shooter running around.
Yeah.
And
well, we stage now. If there's a shooter, we're not going in.
No,
I won't allow any of my people to go in.
We rarely had but we did have some situations where it wasn't dispatched because they didn't tell the dispatcher.
Right.
And the dispatcher didn't know, so she toned it out, and we didn't know. And then you get there, and there's somebody with a gun.
Yeah.
And somebody with a knife. A lot of times it's just by the geography of Patrick County, how spread out our citizenry is, and what big areas we deal with. And winding little 2-lane blacktops once you get off 58.
Yeah.
It takes you a while to get where you're going, and it takes law enforcement a while too.
Yeah, it does. It does. And down where we are, we also have the added problem of the communication system. We still need that tower put up down there so that
Yeah, you
we
do.
can communicate freely with the rest of the community, the rest of the county.
And we've been bouncing that around for a long time.
Well, it's been a long time coming.
But you know, right now in Patrick County, we have a situation where there are some people who are very aggressive and very adamant that we need a paid service. And what they want to do is they want to set up a county-owned and operated ambulance service with paid employees and have them on 24-hour a day, 7-day-a-week status standby to answer calls. It sounds great.
Well, yeah, it sounds fantastic. The reality is, it costs a lot more than they're projecting.
It will.
You know, a single QRV at $207,000 a year puts one person out there. They can't transport.
Nope. They still need a
can't charge.
volunteer service to transport.
They still need a
can't
volunteer
charge.
service to be out there. So, and where are they going to be stationed at? If they're staged in Stewart, they're not helping me in Ararat at all.
No, you'll be gone.
I'll already be in Mount Airy before they get there.
You'll be in ED in Mount Airy before they show up.
Hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully.
But, you know.
And you're sure not going to stop by the side of the road or wait
And
around
wait,
somebody's
and, you know,
living room
exactly,
for a QRV
exactly.
with an ALS guy to get there from the middle of Stewart.
Now, I can't speak for Vesta, but I'm sure they're going to be in the same boat.
Well, they are. It takes
Smith River, as it stands right now, they aren't missing any calls. They're very, very fortunate.
They are.
They have an exceptional group up there with paramedics, and I've never heard a call go unanswered up there, and I have to tip my hat to them.
We've depended on them for mutual aid to cover calls we miss,
Yeah.
and they're just a great bunch of dedicated folks
So
up there.
a QRV isn't going to do them any good.
No.
Yet they'd have to suffer the burden of the taxes on it, and they'd gain no benefit from it.
None.
To me, that's
Well,
that would not be in their best interest for them to be paying for something that they're never going to be able to use. However, they should be rewarded for what they are doing. You know, it's amazing to me that anybody could approach the board and say, look, I need $200,000 a year so I can put one person out there to help all these volunteers, but they won't do anything for the volunteers. I mean, back in 1987, when you were running calls.
People who've carried the water.
Exactly.
We got nothing.
Yeah.
We got nothing. And I ran 12 years. I never received a dime, nor would I have taken any, but it was a different world. There was a different ethic about it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Back then, you would leave your job and go do something. Your employer was still paying you.
Most of the time, yes. I certainly paid all my employees.
So it didn't cost you
anything.
Any of your finances.
And the training was so much easier.
Oh, yes.
I come over here 2 nights a week, Fieldale, Collinsville.
Yeah.
Love those guys over there, Stuart Bowman and Jim Kendrick, among others. And they would teach the class, and the class I paid my way. And a lot of times I'd pay for all the Jeb Stewart people that came with me to come over here to class. We got our BLS certification. It wasn't that arduous. No. And you get your EVOC training. EVOC training was a couple of weekends.
Well, EVOC training still isn't that long a duration, but EMT Basic is 158 hours of class time, plus you still have to do riding time.
That's easily twice what it was when I got it.
And to go further into ALS, you almost have to go to college to do it.
Yeah, and it's almost full time.
It is.
For a year.
It's arduous at best, but people are still doing it. People are still enjoying it.
And God love every one of them.
Well, it's something that we know our county needs.
It is.
You know, one of the reasons why my wife and I stayed here in Patrick County is because of the tax rate. Because you can still live here at a reasonable rate.
And own property.
And own property.
An average person can own property.
Oh, yeah.
And they don't understand, in many areas of the United States, that's not the case.
Oh,
you have
I know.
you have
I
to
come
rent.
from Massachusetts,
Yeah.
remember?
And that's one area. And,
Yeah.
and around, I used to live in D.C. area. And I can tell you, in the D.C. area, if you owned a shack with
paid.
a half an acre on it, you were wealthy just to own it. And
Yeah.
you had to somehow generate some income out of that shack. Unless you were extremely wealthy, you couldn't keep it.
Yeah, I
And
understand
the
that
taxes
completely.
on that place would be, astronomical.
Yeah.
And here's the reality in Patrick County. Local sources, the tax money that we get, it's about 12 million.
Mm-hmm.
7 million goes to the schools,
Yeah, education.
which is
And it should.
appropriate.
It should.
I wish we could give them more.
Yeah.
There's a large chunk of it that goes to the sheriff's department.
Mm-hmm.
And there is a large chunk of it that goes to fire and rescue and emergency services.
Mm-hmm.
And that's about all that we got in our budget.
Yeah.
If we set up several million on some kind of paid service, even a Band-Aid type of paid service, which won't really, as you point out, solve
Won't
the problem.
solve any problems.
We're still going to have drop calls. We're still going to have
exactly.
late calls. And that's not going to solve
And you're still
it.
going to be running the entire volunteer service with one exception. You'd have somebody that's dedicated that isn't driving the truck.
Yeah.
And that's all you're going to get. You're going to get no revenue return on it. It's not going to fix the problem short term or long term. It's not going to fix the problem.
And it's not going to help you get a single additional volunteer or
No.
retain a
It's
single
actually going to push
volunteer.
volunteers away, in
It
my
might-
opinion.
It might cause them to leave because they're going to say,
Well, they're
"Why
gonna
am I out
say,
here doing this and I'm not getting paid?"
I'm doing this
because-"
for free, but he can get paid for
Yeah.
it, you know?
Yeah,
Well,
the-
what makes him so much more valuable than me?
And the answer to
My
that is
argument
nothing.
on all this is, if you're going to spend money, why don't you put it in the hands of the people that are doing the job now?
Who've been carrying the water for you.
Exactly.
And I want to make one point crystal clear to people that don't know and aren't familiar with rescue squads. Look, those volunteers, they have to meet the same criteria, they have to take the same test, and they have to take the same training and maintain the same recertification that the paid service does. They're
That's
the
correct.
same, they have to play the very same rules. They are not in any way second-class citizens when it
Oh, no.
comes to their training. They've got the very same stuff. And one of the problems that we have in Patrick County, here in Henry County, and they kept throwing that up to me the other day, was Henry County's got paid service, Floyd County's got paid service, all these. But our rescue squads, CCDF runs about 6 calls a week. That's about a call a day. ARAT Rescue, yours runs about 3 to 4 calls a week.
Correct.
Jib Stewart, which covers the most of the county,
It does.
it runs 25 calls a week. That's more than all the other squads put together. Smith River will run about 6, 7 calls a week. And Vesta, which is up on the mountain, runs about less than 2 calls a week. And Blue Ridge, which is out in your area,
Yes.
they're lucky if they run a call every 2 weeks.
Correct.
And we had a guy at the meeting the other night, very emotional. I understand it.
Yeah.
I do understand it. He was saying, he's in law enforcement. He was saying, if I go on a porch in Willis Gap, which is in Blue Ridge's district,
Correct.
and I get shot with a high caliber rifle, I want a 5-minute response from a paramedic. And the only
That's-
way I could get that's a paid service.
Well, first off, that would be nice. That
It'd
would
be
be
nice.
fantastic.
And we all would want nothing more for him than that.
I'd want nothing less for him at all.
nothing less for
definitely.
him. Exactly.
The reality of that is, if I showed up as an EMTB and I stopped the bleeding and transported him in less than 10 minutes,
With
he's got a
direct
better
pressure,
chance.
He's got a better chance.
He's got a better chance than anybody standing there trying to give him IVs or anything else. Now, do I think that ALS would be able to do a better job than I? Absolutely, absolutely. Now, personally, I could start an IV, and I would,
Yeah.
but I'd do it while we were moving.
Yeah, me too. I got
The
pretty good at hitting
the best
veins in
thing-
the back of a
The best
rocket
thing that I can do
ambulance.
for him is get him to a real doctor and a real hospital where they have blood that they can give him, and notify them on the way in that I'm showing up, I'm coming in, and this is what I got. Have the people ready.
I used to say on the
Because-
radio, "Pop smoke, get the chopper."
Exactly. Exactly.
If we had
Yeah.
we had one of those, you
Yeah.
know, and it works. I gotta tell you,
It does.
I saw it over and over again. The system works. The system we've got works. We're not paying people to sit around for days on end watching television, although if they do, I hope they watch BT21. And
I hope so.
watching TV, eating pizza, and drinking a lot of Coca-Cola, waiting for 2 calls a week.
Yeah.
Or 1 call every 2 weeks.
We need to start targeting the right demographics, the pre-children demographics, the high
What you were
school
telling
kids
me.
and the college kids. You know, give them a place to be. When I first joined CCDF, my wife and I, we took some money out of our pocket and we bought a pool table. Within a month, we had 20 younger people in there that wanted to join up and become part of what was going on, simply because we gave them something to do in this county besides just hang out.
And I did the same thing with Jeb Stewart. I used to go get those kids at Pop's game room in Stewart, and I would tell them, look, there is nothing cooler than running with a rescue squad.
Oh, yeah.
And they some of them, it's just not their cup of tea.
Right.
But a lot of those kids found out and went on to make careers of it.
Oh, yeah. Well, I have a couple from that original group that are professional now.
When I started out, the squad was low on volunteers. We didn't have anybody. Our meetings were just mainly a matter of everybody with a long face talking about we were broke, we got no volunteers, things are just horrible. You know,
and we all go through cycles. I mean, you get some
It's up
enthusiasm
and down.
going, and it goes up and down. And unfortunately, right now, the entire county's in a downward spiral. But I don't think that it's going to last as long as the Board of Supervisors determines that this volunteer system is worth saving. And I honestly believe that it is. I think that with the money that you would spend on one QRV, it would be better spent to enhance the volunteer system, whether it's paying a stipend or just rewarding them for what they do. I hear all the time how everybody's so happy with what we do, but you know, for the last 10 years that I've known of this, they've given $5,000 for an appreciation dinner. $5,000 for all the fire and rescue.
believe me, I have complained
But you can come up
about
with $200 and something thousand a year for a QRV, and the best you can do is say, okay, we're going to give you some cafeteria food, and we're going to, you know.
Do you know I never went to that appreciation dinner when I was running? You know
And-
why?
and I hate to say it
Saturday
this way.
afternoon, I was out with my guys
we were out
running
doing
a
it.
wreck
Exactly,
somewhere, or,
exactly.
or a hunter gets shot in the woods, and we're out there running the call. And as you know, with every rescue squad, you're going to have a big mass on the roster.
Oh, yeah.
Many are chosen, few are called, and that's what happens. And you wind up with, you don't have the. I missed most of those.
The other side of this is,
appreciation
you know,
dinners.
they reward the people that run the calls, and that's I appreciate that more than I can say. But there is so much behind the scenes work that has to go on. I've been very blessed that some of the people that we have in this squad take the role of secretary and the assistant secretary and the treasurer and the assistant treasurer.
The most important appointment I ever landed was our treasurer. I went and talked to a lady at the bank because we were having trouble.
Yeah.
People were accusing Jeb Stewart of being a little hinky with the which they will do all the time anyway.
Oh, yeah.
And we've got a very nice lady to be our treasurer, and she was so far above reproach.
Yeah.
That ended it, and donations started coming in.
Yeah,
and we could
exactly,
tell them,
exactly.
look, you want to donate to Jeb Stewart any day of the week, anything, you go to the local bank there in Patrick Springs, you write a check and you hand it to Essie Hughes or one of her tellers, they'll get it to her, and it goes directly in our account, and there's no overhead.
Right,
It
exactly.
goes right to putting gas in the unit.
Well, we've been very fortunate. My supply sergeant, she has everything down to a minute detail of what's on the trucks and because now.
And that's another
Other
important
other
job.
than years past when you could just restock from the hospital, we can't do that anymore.
No.
That cost has fallen back on us. Our costs have tripled for medical supplies and fuel and maintenance. And unfortunately, the support from the county hasn't gone up to match that.
And we need to do that. We
Well,
need to put.
I
We
agree.
need to
I
help
agree.
the individual squads, which are not owned by the county.
No.
Y'all don't work for the county.
No.
You're private 501(c) corporations.
Correct.
Every one of them. And we need to get y'all some help. And that's
do.
what
And
that's
I
what I
think-
want to do. That was my point the other night. and I'm
Well,
sorry that
I
so
can
many
honestly
people
tell you,
didn't
my
get it.
squad, I'm very fortunate, my squad is actually growing. We've got 3 more people ready to go to the next EMT class whenever it's available. I have 4 that are testing out right now that just became EMTB. One of them is a younger man that's not quite 18 yet. He can't even run as agent in charge
Yeah.
or AIC. Another one is 61 years old. He's just getting ready to retire. We've been able to target those demographics, and we have brought in, these 2 people were the #1 people in the last EMT class. They scored the highest.
Can I get you back sometime talking
Oh,
about
you most certainly
We'll
can.
do it. Now listen, Robert, but if we don't watch it, what happens is Doug here
Yeah, he
is
gets
going to
upset
come
with
out and
us.
turn a fire hydrant on us.
Okay.
Blow
Well,
us off
I
the
get on a
stage.
roll with this subject, and I'm
I
very
do too.
passionate about it.
And 30 minutes goes
yeah,
like that.
It does.
Thank you for watching us. If you got any questions, call me at the veterinary hospital, and I'll see you next week.
Okay, thank you very much.
And I really appreciate it.
Burn the cedar's hard and it burns with a crackling hot kind of
Pennsylvania County. So we are a true regional incubator, and we're serving a lot of different folks, and they're all coming into our community and doing business.
Which is wonderful.
Right.
We like that.
Yeah.
Now, what are some of the other things we've got going on with the city?
So we took over July 1, Martinsville Uptown, which is, is an extension of a Virginia Main Street program. So